Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Franky.
And I'm Robin. Today we are finally here. Chapter 106, The Welcome Town.
The grand line, baby. No more warm-ups, no more tutorials. This is the real deal. We've climbed a verse mountain, we've met a giant whale, and now it's time for the main event. And the first thing the Straw Hats learn is that the most dangerous enemy on this sea is the sea itself.
But the most unsettling part of this chapter isn't the unnatural weather, as terrifying as it is. It's what comes after. A welcome that is far too good to be true. A siren song for weary travelers.
Right? It's the kind of moment that makes you lean forward, trying to see the catch. It's like a mechanic offering you a free, top-of-the-line engine replacement. You just know there's some fine print somewhere. If you want to catch every single detail with us as we sail through this story, make sure your personal log pose is locked onto this channel. A quick follow makes sure you never lose our signal.
And with that, let's talk about the chaos. The chapter opens immediately after they've left Twin Cape and said their goodbyes to Crocus and Laboon. The promise has been made, and the Grand Line wastes zero time in testing their resolve.
Not a single second. It's like Oda flipped a switch on a cosmic weather machine. One moment it's a calm sea, the next it's a full-on blizzard. Luffy and Usopp are making snowmen on the deck of the Going Merry, having the time of their lives. It's such a perfect, goofy Straw Hat moment. It's that pure, uncut, childlike wonder that makes them who they are. They see a freak snowstorm in a tropical sea, and their first thought isn't, "This is impossible," it's, "Let's build a snow duck."
That innocence is their greatest strength, but also their greatest vulnerability. It's a moment that lasts for maybe a few minutes before the blizzard is instantly replaced by a lightning storm, a tropical storm with hailstones the size of fists. Nami is justifiably losing her mind, and for the first time, we see genuine, professional terror on her face.
And I love that, because this isn't just bad weather. This is a statement of intent from Oda. He's showing us, not telling us, why this sea is called the Pirate's Graveyard. The laws of nature do not apply here. A compass is useless. Common sense is useless. The Going Merry, which is a super well-built ship, mind you, is being tossed around like a bath toy. You can almost hear the wood creaking and groaning under the strain.
It's a fundamental breakdown of reality. Everything Nami has ever learned, every chart she's ever drawn, every current she's ever read, it's all predicated on the idea that the world operates on a set of consistent rules. The Grand Line throws that rulebook into a shredder. This is her first real test. She's been the flawless navigator so far, but everything she knows is based on the logic of a normal ocean. Here, logic is the first thing to go.
Exactly. It's a baptism by fire, or by ice and lightning and God knows what else. And then Miss Wednesday has the nerve to ask her if she checked the log pose, and you see the panic set in. The needle is just spinning wildly. They're already off course. Just a few moments of that chaos was enough to send them spiraling into the unknown. The log pose isn't a map, it's a lifeline, and theirs seems to be broken.
Or rather, the connection has been severed. It's a terrifying metaphor for being truly lost. They don't just lack direction, they lack the very concept of direction. And it's in that moment of pure chaos that we see the crew really start to shine.
Oh yeah, this is where the men are separated from the boys, so to speak. The next hour is just a desperate fight for survival. There's no witty banter, no grandstanding. Everyone is working. You see them scrambling all over the deck, manning the rudder, managing the sails, just trying to keep the ship from being torn to pieces. Everyone is pushing to their absolute limit just to keep the ship afloat.
Even Luffy, who can often be a chaotic element himself, is shown pulling ropes and following orders. He understands on a primal level that this is a different kind of fight. He can't punch a Sea King into submission.
This is the kind of stuff I live for. It's not a battle against some big bad with a devil fruit. It's the crew as a unit against the world itself. This is what forges the bonds that make them unbreakable. This is stronger than any training montage. They have to trust each other completely, implicitly, just to live to see the next island. There's no room for doubt. If one person falters for a second, the whole ship could capsize or the mast could snap. It's a symphony of desperation, and it's beautiful.
It also reinforces how utterly essential Nami is to this entire enterprise. We've seen her skills, but this chapter elevates her role to something almost mythical. Luffy can punch a Sea King, Zoro can slice a ship in half, but none of that matters if they can't get from point A to point B. On the Grand Line, staying on course is the primary battle. Nami isn't just the navigator, she's the key that lets the rest of them function. Without her, they are just 5 very strong people who would die in a storm within a week.
Absolutely. She's the one who can tame this beast. And after an hour of pure hell, the sea just calms, like nothing happened. The sun comes out, the crew is just wiped out, collapsed on the deck, gasping for air. The silence must have been deafening.
All except for one person who seems to exist in his own personal weather system.
Of course, Zoro picks this exact moment to wake up from a nap. A nap! He slept through a hurricane, a blizzard, a lightning storm, and who knows what else. He's curled up against the mast like it's a lazy Sunday afternoon. It's so absurd it loops back around to being incredible. What does it take to wake this man up?
The timing is perfect comedic genius. He wakes up, stretches, and immediately his entire demeanor shifts. He goes from sleepy to deadly serious in a heartbeat, and his eyes lock onto Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine. He hasn't forgotten they're with Baroque Works. He slept through the storm, but he didn't sleep on the job.
He is the guard dog of this crew, through and through. While everyone else is catching their breath and dealing with the trauma of a near-death experience, his first thought is, are these two a threat? He's asking them what they're really after, what their motivation is. He's already putting the pieces together. And then, Nami just decks him, a right hook straight to the jaw.
A well-deserved punch, I think. It's cathartic for her and for the reader. She just navigated them through an existential nightmare, and he was sleeping off a hangover.
Oh, 100%. The entire crew is fighting for their lives, and he's just snoozing away. It's such a great comedic beat to break the tension of the last few pages. It recenters the group. But what comes after that punch is even better. It's not just a gag.
Nami's confidence. She's not scared anymore. Zoro asks what's wrong with her, and she just brushes it off. She puts her hand on the log post and smiles.
Yes, that panel is so good. She says she's got a feel for it now. The sea is crazy, but it's a consistent kind of crazy. She went through the trial by fire, stared down the impossible nature of the Grand Line, and came out the other side stronger. She says the weather, the currents, the sky, it's all so insane that it creates its own kind of pattern. She understands the patterns now. That's such a huge character moment for her.
It is. It's a paradigm shift. She didn't just survive it, she learned from it. She adapted. She realized that trying to apply East Blue logic was the mistake. She had to empty her cup, so to speak, and let the Grand Line teach her its language. That adaptability is going to be her greatest weapon. It's a testament to her genius as a navigator. But just as they're settling into this newfound confidence, they see it. An island.
Whisky Peak. The cactus-shaped mountains are so distinct and bizarre. It looks like something out of a dream. And you can see the relief on everyone's faces. They made it. Their first island on the Grand Line. The proof of concept. They survived the journey.
This is also when their 2 passengers decide it's time to part ways. Quite abruptly. Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday just say their goodbyes, thank them for the ride, and leap overboard, swimming for shore.
Which is weird, right? I mean, beyond weird. You just hitch a ride through a nightmare sea that nearly killed everyone, and you don't even wait for the ship to dock? You just jump? Something's not right there. A normal person would be clinging to that ship for dear life.
It's more than not right. It's suspicious. It's a clear signal that they are not what they seem. They clearly don't want to be seen with the Straw Hats when they arrive. They want to get to the island first, to disappear into the scenery before their ride officially pulls into port. It's the behavior of agents, not grateful passengers.
That thought probably hasn't even crossed Luffy's mind yet. His brain just doesn't work that way. He and Usopp are just getting hyped, leaning over the railing, wondering what kind of island it is. Will there be monsters, a beautiful lady who needs saving, maybe a cool villain with a cool sword? It's pure, unfiltered excitement.
It's that classic sense of adventure. The fear of the unknown is secondary to the excitement of discovery for them. It's a quality that allows them to push forward where others would retreat. But it also makes them susceptible to deception.
And what they find is the last thing any of them expected. The absolute last thing you'd predict for your first stop in the pirates' graveyard. They pull into port and there's a crowd. A massive, cheering crowd.
With banners, colorful, hand-painted banners that say, "Welcome Pirates." The entire town is there, throwing what looks like a festival in their honor. There's music playing, people are waving and smiling. It's disarmingly cheerful.
I mean, come on. A whole town celebrating the arrival of a pirate crew? Red flags are going up everywhere. This isn't just a friendly greeting, it's a performance. Pirates are, by definition, outlaws. They steal, they pillage. Why would a whole town roll out the red carpet for a potential threat?
They're being led by the mayor, a man named Igarappoi. He's all smiles and hospitality, offering food, drink, a party to celebrate their harrowing journey. He's treating them like conquering heroes. And that level of celebration is the most suspicious part of all.
Exactly. Why treat them like heroes? To a random town? Luffy's a hero to the villages he saves, like Kokoyasi or Syrup Village, sure. But that's because he earned it by defeating a tyrant they knew. These people don't know him from Adam. This feels like a trap. It has to be. It smells like a trap. It looks like a trap. It's a trap.
Okay, but think about what this means. A trap implies a motive and a methodology. Why go to all this trouble? A party, food for an entire crew, music, lodging. It's an incredibly elaborate deception. It requires the cooperation of every single person in that town, from the mayor down to the children.
They must be after the bounty. It's the only thing that makes sense. Luffy's got a bounty on his head, and it's a big one. That's a fortune. That's enough money to motivate an entire town. The plan is simple. Get them drunk, get them fed and sleepy, get them to lower their guard, and then spring the trap.
That's the most likely scenario. They're bounty hunters, the entire town, which is a chilling thought. This isn't just a few skilled individuals hiding in an alley. It's a systematic town-wide operation. The Welcome Town isn't a name. It's a lure, a business model.
And the Straw Hats are just walking right into it. The moment Igarappoi mentions a feast, Luffy smells meat and all caution is gone. He's practically vibrating with excitement. Sanji sees the beautiful women in the crowd and he's off the ship in a swirl of hearts. Usopp and Nami seem a little more hesitant. You can see the skepticism on their faces, but they get swept up in the overwhelming positivity and the promise of a free meal.
It preys on the fundamental needs of a sailor. After a grueling, terrifying time at sea, the promise of a hot meal, a strong drink, and a moment of peace is almost impossible to resist. It targets their exhaustion. It's not just a physical trap, it's a psychological one.
It's the perfect honey trap. You're exhausted, you're hungry, you're emotionally drained, and a town offers you everything you want, no strings attached. Your guard goes down. It's smart. It's terrifyingly smart. And it speaks to the level of organization we're about to face. This isn't Arlong's brute force or Krieg's military might. This is subtle, deceptive.
And it sets the stage for this entire arc. The Straw Hats think they found a moment of respite, their first friendly port in the Grand Line, a sign that maybe it's not all bad, but they've actually just sailed into the headquarters of a massive clandestine bounty hunting organization.
An organization that Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday are a part of. That's why they jumped ship. They had to get into position to blend back in with the welcoming crowd before their ride showed up. It's all clicking into place. They were the scouts, leading the sheep to the slaughterhouse.
It's also interesting to think about what was going on in the real world at the time. I was looking into it, and right around when this chapter came out, Oda mentioned he had been at the auditions for the anime.
Yeah, that's so cool. He said the entire staff was pleased with the choices for the cast. Imagine being in that room, the story's still so young, and you're picking the voices that would define these characters for millions of people across the globe for decades to come. No pressure, right?
It's a monumental decision. At this point in the manga's run, the anime was just getting started. This was them casting the core crew that we would all come to know. Those people weren't just actors. They were about to become intertwined with the very souls of these characters.
And he says they'll be revealed in the next issue of Jump. The hype must have been unreal for anyone reading this week to week. Knowing what we know now about how iconic and perfect those voices are, it's just amazing to read this little note from the past, seeing it all begin. Super cool.
It's a nice little peek behind the curtain, a reminder of the world outside the story. But back in the story, there is no celebration. The crew is walking into the lion's den and they think it's a party in their honor.
The dramatic irony is off the charts. It's so thick you could cut it with one of Zoro's swords. We, the readers, know something is wrong. We know about Baroque works from our time with Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine. But our crew, they're just happy to have made it. They're being handed drinks and plates of food, and they're just so relieved.
It raises the tension beautifully. We're watching them take every step deeper into the trap. The only question is, who will be the first to notice? Who will be the one to see the cracks in this perfect facade?
My money is on Zoro, or you, one of the two. He didn't eat a devil fruit, so he can swim away if he has to, and he's naturally suspicious of everything that seems too good to be true. He's dumb when it comes to directions, but he's got instincts that are second to none.
The townsfolk of Whisky Peak have a very specific way of dealing with pirates, one they have clearly honed over time. If you have your own theory on their methods or who you think will uncover the plot, drop it in the comments below. We'd be interested to read them.
All right, let's get into it. Predictions for Chapter 107. The party's in full swing. The trap is set. What happens next? Robin, you first.
My first prediction is that the party is explicitly a ploy to get information. It's not just about getting them drunk. The townsfolk will be trying to confirm Luffy's bounty and assess the value of the rest of the crew under the guise of friendly conversation. They'll ask about their journey, their accomplishments, subtly probing for weaknesses and confirming their identities for the bounty posters. Oh, a swordsman with 3 swords? How unique. You're the captain? You must be very strong. It's intelligence gathering.
Ooh, I like that. They're not just trying to knock them out, they're assessing the value of their targets, appraising the goods before the auction. Smart. Okay, my turn. I predict Zoro will refuse to drink any of the alcohol. He'll take a mug, maybe even hold it, but he won't drink. He'll play along, eat some of the food because he's not an idiot. He needs to recover his strength, but he'll stay completely sober. And because he's not caught up in the revelry, he'll be the one to overhear a stray comment, a whispered conversation between 2 townsfolk that gives the whole game away.
That feels very in character. He's always the most suspicious, the first to sense danger. For my second prediction, I think we will see Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine reporting to a superior. Now that they're away from the Straw Hats, we'll see them in their true element. We'll get our first glimpse of a higher-ranked Baroque Works agent, someone who is actually in charge of the Whisky Peak operation. It might be a Mr. 7 or a Mr. 6, establishing the hierarchy of the organization.
Yes, we need to see who's pulling the strings on this island. It can't just be the mayor. There has to be a real threat here, a serious fighter. Okay, for my second one, I'm doubling down on the trap mechanics. I think the food is going to be drugged. Not just the alcohol, because they know pirates can hold their liquor, the food itself. It's a simple, fast-acting knockout agent, and the whole point of the feast is to get everyone to eat until they pass out. And Luffy, of course, being Luffy, will eat 90% of it, enough to knock out a sea king.
And it likely won't even affect him. His rubber biology just seems to process things differently. Or he'll just metabolize it so fast by eating more food that it has no effect. A very Luffy-esque way to foil a plan. My final prediction, the warm welcome they keep receiving is a trap. I believe the town has a protector or a local hero who is actually the strongest bounty hunter on the island, and the townsfolk are celebrating because they've brought him fresh targets. We'll hear his name mentioned in reverence, a name that means nothing to the Straw Hats now but will become very important soon. They're not the guests of honor, they're the sacrifice.
A boss fight, love it. A local legend who's actually the island's chief enforcer, super classic. My last prediction is that Nami is going to be the one who gets targeted specifically and personally, not for her fighting ability, but for her log pose. Igrapoi, or one of the charming women, will try to get close to her, maybe offer to polish her bracelet or something, with the real goal of stealing it, because trapping them on the island is just as important as capturing them. If they can't navigate away, they're stuck. It adds another layer to the trap.
A very pragmatic approach. Controlling their movement is key. All excellent predictions. It seems we're both in agreement that this party is about to take a very dark turn.
It's the grand line. The party always takes a dark turn. That's going to do it for us this week. Join us next time as we see just how welcome the Straw Hats really are.
Until then, keep your log pose steady.
Super.